Good morning, my viewers, the parents, the teachers, and students as well, and anybody else who is watching us. It's another Saturday for Easy Numbers. But before we begin that, I still want to repeat that as a teacher, I want healthy students in the classroom. And there is this disease called bilharzia that is very, very prevalent. And so parents and students back home, maintain your cleanliness. Keep your toilets clean. Keep the water to wash the hands after you have visited the toilets. We have noticed that what happens is when children go to the toilet at school, they use leaves to clean up themselves, and a bit of the dirt remains on their hands, and then 10-15 minutes later they are in break, and then they are jumping up and down and breaking potatoes for each other and breaking maize for each other, and the possibility of this dirt remaining on the hands and going onto the potato and then being consumed by another student is possible, and that student would carry even the same bilharzia germs back home. So schools also keep cleanliness. Let the children have water on their compound. Like we did in the COVID-19 era. We were very, very clean. So I'm concerned because we need healthy students so that they can understand what we are saying in the classroom. It disappoints a teacher to walk into a classroom where 90% of the classroom is absent or is there but sleepy because of sickness. So let us help each other in that manner. Now let's go back to our lesson for today. Today I'm teaching about addition by rounding. You know, there are so many ways of rounding, but addition by rounding has always been the easiest. I have looked at some of these easy problems that you can just see the answer mentally if you know the rounding method. And this rounding method is not very common in schools. So that's why I want to talk about it today. Let's look at a number like 273, and we are going to add on 998. If you have a number like that, you have 273, you are adding on 998. And then the normal thing is 3 plus 8, 11, write 1, carry 1. You know, you keep carrying, but I always say that you cannot carry what is not a luggage. So the thing to do is to use the rounding method. Look at these two terms and see which one of them can easily be rounded. And when I look at them, 273 and 298, and 998, I can easily round 998 to 1,000 just by adding a small 2 here. When I put a small 2 here, this number becomes 1,000. If it becomes 1,000, you add it to 273 to get 1273. That is your tentative answer. Now to go back to get to the correct answer, you simply remove the number you had used for rounding, and that was 2. And so the answer is 1271. That is now the correct answer to that problem. And I've written down the steps so that you can follow. But once you know what I'm doing, you'll just look at it. You look at this 1273 minus 2, 1271. You will have no problem. You add like a genius. And that's my aim, to make every child that I come across a mathematics genius. because these operations are missing in our normal regular textbooks. And so you find our children counting on fingers all the time. And yet fingers cannot be as big as 1,271. So let's go on with a little practice on addition by rounding. Addition by rounding, if you have 1548 and you are just going to add on 499. So when you look at 499, it's a number that can very easily be rounded to 500. And therefore, by just adding one here, this number becomes 500. If it becomes 500, you add on to the 1500 that is in the number 1548, and to get 2000. So the tentative answer is 2048. Now what you do at this point is just to remove that small number you used for rounding. That is -1. The correct answer is 2047. And you will do this at lightning speed once you know the rounding method. Let us proceed with more examples. More and more examples. I have 236, and I'm going to add on to this number 390, let me put it 96, 396. When I look at these numbers, the number 396 can be rounded very quickly to 400 just by adding a small 4 here. So if you add a small 4 here, 396 becomes 400, and you add it to 236 to become 636. 636 is your tentative answer. Now you come back and remove the number used for rounding, which is 4, and when you remove 4 from 636, you remain with 632, and that's now the correct answer that you have to use. Remember, I'm only writing because I'm teaching you. Once you have practice at home, you will always look at a problem like this and see its answer mentally. That is the making of a mathematics genius. Let us look at another problem. 1848. 1848, let us say you are going to add on 1599. So when you look at this number, it can be rounded off to 1600 just by adding 1 here. And remember, in this method, you only add place values. So the moment I am saying I'm rounding it to 1600, when I go to add, I'll add to the hundreds that are in the other number. The other number has 1800. So 1600 plus 1800 is probably 3400. So your tentative answer becomes 3448. 3448. And then when it becomes 3448, you simply remove the small number that you used for rounding, and the correct answer becomes 3447. So it is so easy if you know how to round. And it is what I recommend that you start practicing. Of course, not every mathematics problem can be rounded. but you can round as far as you can. Let me see if I can round something here that is seemingly bigger. If I've 2036 and I'm going to add on something like 9, let me say I'm going to add 964. So 964 is a very easy number to round up to 1,000. And remember, when I'm saying 1,000, I'll add place value only. So when it becomes 1,000, I add it to the 2,000 to get 3,000. The rest of the numbers remain intact and unaltered. But because we added 36 here, if you want to get the correct answer here, you have to remove the number used for adding. So subtract 36, and then you get this number to be exactly 3,000. So the rounding up method is a very, very good one for adding. And it can be used on two terms very, very easily, but also even more terms than two. Let me pick a little more terms. A little more terms, but we are going to use it for rounding. I have 498. I have 396. I have 597. So how do we add this by rounding method? You see, 498 is very close to 500, so call it 500. 396 is very close to 400. Call it 500 plus 400 is now 900. Then 597 is very close to 600. So you are saying 500 plus 400 is 900 plus 600 is 1500. So your tentative answer is actually 1500. But then, for this to be seen as 5, I had to add 2. For this to be seen as 4, I had to add another 4. And for this to be seen as 6, I had to add 3. So total addition was actually 9. So this answer is 9 too many. Just subtract 9. And so it remains, here is 1, here is 9, here is 14. So the correct answer for this problem is 1491. And let's check by manual. 8 plus 6 is 14 plus 7 is 21. We go with the 2. We write 1, we go with the 2. Then 3 9s are 18 and 2. This is 18 and 2. 1, 2, 3. That's 27. 27 and 2 is 29. We go with the 2. Then 7 plus 5 is 12. And 12 and 2 is 14. So that's correct. And you can see, if you are going the long way, you take a longer time and you also get a little confused. So just pick things that will never confuse you. Let me again pick another long addition. Let us see what happens. So 583, 583, and then 596, and then 598. How do we add this? Look at these things here. They can be rounded to 600. So each number can be rounded to 600. So there are 3 600s. That means your tentative answer is 600 times 3, which is 1800. So when you put 1800 here, that is your tentative answer. Then you come back and say, no, for me to see 583 as 6, I had to put a 17. And for me to see 596 as a 6, I had to put a 4. And then for me to see 598 as a 6, I had to put a 2. So the total that I put was actually 23. So remove 23 from here, so that you remain with 7, 7 and 17. So that is the correct answer. Your tentative answer is 1800, but your correct answer is 1777. Round and then subtract the small number you used for rounding. Behave like a genius. In the classroom, your teachers will always be behind you. And this is what I call the missing link. Our books are teaching us mathematics with a very big missing link. And this missing link is called operations. In our classrooms, we do not learn perfect subtractions, perfect additions, perfect divisions, and perfect multiplications. It is a complete missing link. Our textbooks don't have that. And so, you want to be a genius, you will have to go an extra mile and get a supplementary book that I call The Making of a Mathematics Genius. When you have that book, in there you will learn how to rattle numbers. You will learn how to multiply numbers like a wizard. You will learn how to subtract numbers like a wizard. In that book, I do not use the terms borrow one, borrow one, borrow one when I'm subtracting. Because numbers are not banks, numbers are not friends. They cannot lend you anything. So, this idea of borrow one is a foreign idea to a mathematics genius. So, in addition, there are so many ways of adding. But addition by rounding, if you are good at rounding numbers, you can use it very, very swiftly. There are also other ways of adding, which we'll come up with later. But today we are just dealing with the rounding. So, you can also combine addition by rounding and also multiplication. You do 2 operations in one and still get to your answer. For example, you have a number like 596, 595, 5 94. And 5, 93. And you are going to add them. You do not have to keep saying 6 plus 5 is 11 plus 4 is 15 plus 3 is 18, write 8, carry 1. You can't carry numbers. Numbers are not luggage. Numbers, even nobody has ever held any number. So you don't carry numbers. They are not luggage. But however, that's the way our current books are teaching mathematics. For me here, what I'll do is to look at these numbers very, very carefully and find that they are very close to 600. Each one is very close to 600. And so I'll call them 600. And how many are they? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 600s. By multiplication, what is 4 times 600 is 2400. Once I put 2400 here, then I go back a little. For me to see these are 600, I had to put 4. And this one I had to put 5. And this one I had to put 6. And this one I had to put 7. So I put 22 overall. And so I subtract 22 from this one, and my answer remains 2378. So that becomes the correct answer for 596 plus 595 plus 594 plus 593. I used 2 methods. One was rounding and another one was multiplication. And then I finally subtracted just the small numbers I used for rounding. You see, maths is play, maths is joy, maths is fun. But the reason why we find mathematics difficult is because of the methodology, the methods we are trained with. When you go to grade 1 today and see the way our kids are being trained in mathematics, oh my. And that's the way I was also trained. I've realized that I was suffering. That you have to break a lot of matchsticks and then start counting them. That if you want to know what 5 times 20 is, then you break 20 matchsticks and put them in groups until there are 5 groups. And then count them one by one. Oh boy. Do one thing as a teacher, just teach the children the primary tables, table 1 to table 9. 10 is not a table because you just keep adding a 0 at the end of the number. And 11 is not even a table, you just keep repeating the number. But basically let the children know table 1 to table 9, and the rest we can show them how to manipulate numbers, so that our children can be geniuses. Our children must be great thinkers. You see, skills of yesterday cannot meet tomorrow's jobs. The mathematics we learned years ago, including me and my grandfather, cannot be the mathematics to do the engineering of today. Recently they called themselves dot-coms. and they are calling themselves Gen Zs. And what is it if you cannot rattle a number like 25 times 88, which is 2200? So, in that way, you will be a good mathematician. So the question is, how do you fill up this missing link, this gap here? And I always say I don't give problems if I cannot provide solutions. I have written that small book called The Making of a Mathematics Genius. In there, you can manipulate numbers by any sign. This is the book I'm talking about. You can do your mathematics. The addition is in here. You just play with the numbers. The subtraction is right there. Just play with the numbers. The multiplication is right in there. You just play with the numbers. And the division is right in there. You just play with the numbers. I may not have provided a solution to every number, but 90% of the behavior of numbers will be found in the making of a mathematics genius. You need to be a mathematics genius to cope with the future mathematics. And probably as an early child, you probably think you have nowhere to apply mathematics. But let me tell you from the onset that everything you do in life will be mathematics. So, if you know how to deal with the numbers, the next thing you just need to know is the formula for that problem you are handling. For there are problems that need a specific formula, and if you don't know it, you cannot do that problem. And again, I've supplied a solution for that. I have the mathematics formula that caters for grade 1 up to form 4. Any formula that will be needed between there. So get the formula, lock it in the head, get the numbers, know how to deal with them, and then you are almost there. And I say you are almost there because there is something again you need to know about mathematics. The English language. Mathematics is always tested in the media of the English language. So if you don't know the vocabulary of the English that is used in mathematics, you will still fail that mathematics. Okay, you are ready to do your mathematics and you come across a vector. What is this vector? You don't know it. Since you don't know it, you are handicapped. You cannot move a step further. And that is why then I say, learn a little more English. And then after that, for a long time people have thought that mathematics is not a subject you can study and make notes. Today I'm telling you, mathematics is like any other subject, it has its notes. So I advise you to have the mathematics notes. For Form 1 is a separate book. For Form 2 is a separate book. For Form 3 is a separate book. And for Form 4 it's a separate book. Get that book at your level. And if you are unfortunate to have gone through schools that don't offer those notes, then get those notes, the complete set, the 4 books, from me. Just say, I want from 1 up to from 4, the whole set. You will get it. You have no reason for your child to fail mathematics when West TV has decided to expose all this knowledge to you through Dr. Kundo. So get those books, the mathematics notes for Form 1, mathematics notes for Form 2, for Form 3, for Form 4. And if you didn't get any, just get a complete set and study it. You will be a master of mathematics. In there you will find lots of these vocabularies that are used. Then you can use your English knowledge to find out what they mean. You see, my people perish for lack of knowledge. We just perish because we lack the knowledge. But knowledge will not come on your table. It will not come in your bedroom as you are lying. You will have to seek. Knowledge is sought. Find out where you can get the knowledge. Our Vision 2030 is about great people. And who are these great people? The mathematicians of that time. Let it find you well prepared. So, addition by rounding is one of the best methods you can add, and add very quickly, and add very accurately, and put very little pressure on your brain. Because the brain is never replaced. When you see people, maybe at higher learning level, they start to think a little different. They probably start to think that it's okay to go in the streets without a long trouser or without a shirt on, just a naked chest. They are thinking differently. And why is that? Because the brain is malfunctioning. And why is the brain malfunctioning? Because from your youth to the level where you are, you have put so much pressure on your brain that it is now snapping. You are now a mental case when you actually needed not to be. If you knew some of these things that don't eat on your brain. So parents, I'm advising you that get to the children the best they can have. Look at their brain health by giving them what gives them answers without giving them a lot of pressure on the brain. Because the brain is not replaced. Once it's gone, it's gone. And that's why I say some of these small books that we are writing will fill in the missing link. A chain is only a chain when all the links are there. And the strength of the chain is at its weakest link. So why make your brain the weakest link of the chain? So, apart from that, if you are going through high school, I always advise parents that get the high school mathematics formula. And also get those notes that I've talked about. And get the mathematics revisions. Because when you know how to ride your old bicycle, you will always ride your new bicycle. The old bicycle in this case is the past papers of past years. Look at them and know how to handle them. Once you know those, your new bicycle is the exam you will be writing. It won't bother you at all. Once you know how to ride your old bicycle, you will always ride your new bicycle. And I thank the parents that have always taken the trouble to look for these books. My books may not be in any bookshops, but I've decided that I will relieve some areas slowly by slowly. And I've started by Mumias. If you are in Mumias, and you know this town they call Ekero, there's a bookshop called Ekero Bookshop Center. If you go in that bookshop and ask for my books, they should be able to provide you with the books. And if the books are not there, just leave an order. Within one day, they will have called me to supply the book. And you'll get it. This is for people who are within Mumias, Shanda, Sabatia, around Ogalo, those who can approach and reach Mumias. Even when you are on your way to Kakamega, you just stop at the Ekero Bookshop Center, pick your book, and then proceed. We want you to be the best in mathematics. And you can never be the best in mathematics by reading only one format book. They are called course books. Course books are written by one thinking brain. But you need to have that brain's thinking, and so on. I am what I am because I read Jurel, I read Owen, I read Carey Francis, and I have a variety of knowledge in the head. One knowledge doesn't make you who you are. And parents, I'm addressing you because you are the book buyers. And children don't have money. If your child is going to fail, it will be you to blame. You stuck on one knowledge thinking only, and you do not have a variety. And therefore your child was limited. Expand the knowledge of your child and let your child be a genius in mathematics. And for operations, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, those are very poorly taught in our course books. So you get them from my writings of the math, making of a mathematics genius. And also you can secure other books from me. If you wanted physics, you wanted chemistry, we can help you secure those books. Yeah, because chemistry also has its notes, physics has its notes, and you can always compare and contrast. And by the time you are looking for what this author is saying versus this author, you are expanding your brain. I'm sure you have seen people's offices or people's study rooms filled with hundreds and hundreds of books. It doesn't mean he needed all of them in life, but he wanted to pick an idea from there and an idea from there and an idea from there. And those are the people you call very brilliant people. Knowledge is power. So get more knowledge. And it's only power when it's applied. Keep applying it. So I will be continuing with the addition sign in the next lecture when I come back next weekend. Maybe I'll teach you again a different method of adding so that you are really perfect. So that when you are serving at the counter and 100 people are standing, you just add their mathematics and finish with him. You just add and finish with him. Especially those who are selling in huge supermarkets, where there is a lot of tabulation and so on. You can be a great boy without those machines. If you are a cashier, you can do a lot of calculation without the need of the machine. It is you we are talking about, not the gadget. Because if the gadget is faulty, you will never get anything right. And you'll always run behind your schedule. So, for you to get me, you call me on telephone number 0721 901 429. I repeat for you the telephone number. It's important for you to take. And by the way, schools also invite me using the same number so that we can talk to your children about mathematics. Tell them what they miss. Tell them what they need to know. Add them a different point of view so that we have brilliant fellows. Telephone number 0721 901 429. Call me as I leave the studio and we shall have a nice chat on how you find and where you find these books. Until next weekend, it is bye-bye from Dr. Kundu.